Greetings, Marvel fans. It's Napalm Dawn here on G4G, bringing to you another Marvel Avengers Alliance related video. So, for today's topic, we're going to work off of a post that Caleb from the Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux team has put out in the MAA Redux Facebook group today. He said, I've got 4 questions for you guys. Who was your favorite PVAI hero from MAA? Who is your favorite Spec Ops hero? Who do you specifically want to see as PVAI? Who do you want to see as a Spec Ops hero? He had to clarify what he meant by PVAI, and that is anybody that you could earn from a PvP season. I get what he was going for there. I think he was trying to be hyper-specific that what we had in Marvel Avengers Alliance wasn't exactly PvP because it was not live. It was player versus ghost or player versus hologram, sort of. Otherwise affectionately known as PVAI, PvP, or some bastardization of that. But it usually includes AI in there to denote that it's not being piloted by another human being, comparative to, say, the Wizard of Oz game that is on mobile devices where it is active PvP. You have like a certain amount of time to take your turn. You are playing against another person. I forget the full name. Let me pull that up for you guys because it is actually a fun game. Excuse me, a little bit of Oz Broken Kingdoms. Here it is. This is actually a pretty fun game. It is not exactly like Marvel Avengers Alliance in that it is, when you're doing PvE, it's just one character versus waves of enemies, like blue for Scarecrow, green for what is essentially the main character, red for the Tin Man, and there is the rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock kind of a thing going on. So that's the Cowardly Lion. He's yellow. Like blue is strong against red, red is strong against... So there's the Tin Man. When you play PvP, you can bring monsters into battle with you, and you do get to pick those monsters. It's like this. This could be PvP over here, where it's the Scarecrow and 2 of his minions versus a real player piloting the Dorothy character, who's green, and 2 of her minions over there. So this is a fun game, and this is probably one of the games that, when I was actively playing it, I actually pushed PvP way more than any other game since Marvel Avengers Alliance was this one. Even more than Marvel Future Fight or Strike Force. It's a fun game. So, that's what Caleb meant when he said PVAI, and that is a character that you can earn via PvP, or a character that you can earn from a Spec Ops for Question 2. So, I wanted to go and run down the 31 or so PvP seasons, and kind of give you my opinion on the hero, and what I think of them, and I'll bring up my response to this question over here as a jumping off point. So, for the PvP hero, I said hard to say because I like to hands-on all my tunes so that I can learn them and know where they fit into things. Spider-Man Noir was amazing when you could team him in what you could team him up with. Rocket Raccoon was fun in the same kind of way. Psylocke, who a lot of people forget, was actually a PvP season hero. Psylocke's level 1 was one of my favorite animations and sounds in the entire game. Red Hulk was used quite effectively for some time. He was a bit of a tank and also a good pair with Pesty. Hogan was one of my favorite and most underrated unsung heroes. He fits in with Spinu and Rocket and Union Jack and those guys. He was also a group boss killer. If you didn't know what Hogan could do with flanked on a group boss, you were missing out. And then, of course, Cloak and Dagger were gods walking the earth. For a Spec Ops hero, I liked Magic, Havoc, Pym, Damon after he became worthy, Nico for the pesty Nico for Horseman Gear era, Anti-Venom, and of course the other god walking this earth to go with Cloak and Dagger, Spitfire. She was Spec Ops. On the question of who would I like to see be brought into the game through PvP, I said Guillotine. She's one of the first high-power tunes that I ever had in Marvel Contest of Champions, and I think the development team could make a great moveset for her and maybe repurpose Sif or Magic's sprite base to do it. And as for a Spec Ops hero that I would like to see, Firestar. I said I thought the Spec Ops could be based around the Hellfire Club, but it might be tough inventing the big bad baddie, since at the time it was Emma Frost who was trying to get her to be a bad mutant in the Hellfire Club, and Charles Xavier stopped that. So I said, well, maybe Sebastian Shaw and Selene, because Emma's essentially on the good side, and a couple people had some replies to that and thought of a way they could do it. I grew up with the Amazing Spider-Man and Friends, and I've always admitted Firestar is a bit of an old crush on for me as a kid. Before we go any further, there will be links to the Facebook group, Discord group, and to download Beta 2 in the description of this video, but please do not clog up my comment section with questions about Beta 3 or mobile. I don't care what language you speak, it's going to get translated by me so that I can answer you. And if I see a question about will it ever be on mobile or what's the status of Beta 3, fuck off. Just seriously fuck off. I'm telling you that right now. This way that I can say, hey, within the first several minutes of the video, I answered this. It shows you didn't listen. Fuck off. Just, there's too much stuff going on in the world right now, especially in the United States, with everything that's happening between the riots and COVID and the fact that I just found out today that I've got 2 weeks left at my job. So, yeah, I'm not going to be bothering myself with people who don't listen properly. So here we go. First, let's deal with the PvP seasons. Deadpool was the first. Obviously, very solid character, extremely fan favorite, which is probably why he was first to begin with. However, when used in PvP, he was pretty predictable. If you used the gum cannon on him or Nico's stick to it before he did his first action, he would just recharge, because he was so programmed to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in his move set. If you at any point in time diverted him from that course, the AI kind of freaked out and didn't know what to do with him. Obviously fun character, and he had his moments, but, you know, okay. Cable's another one that I admit I thought was just okay. He got better with ISOs, and a lot of people loved Cable and used Cable very effectively. I'm not going to crap on Cable just because I didn't really use him to his fullest. A lot of people did, and I certainly recognize that, and I will never take that away from them. Season 3, Psylocke. Psylocke, to me, I loved. When she had her X-Force costume, I used her to get to Adamantium through 2 very, very different times in the game's history. I used her with X-Force Archangel, because she granted them both stealth, and Archangel had a move like Pesty that did Nano Plague, and it wasn't nerfed, unlike Pesty's Nano Plague was. Mark of the Brotherhood was so good with her. I mean, just even in her default skin, she was amazing with the right setup, especially like Quicksilver and everything. I mean, Quicksci was a huge meta when Quicksilver dropped, so I think Psylocke is pretty much a modern goddess within the game, and I think a lot of people forget she was actually a PvP hero. Punisher, I mean, Punisher was definitely a toolkit, a fairly accomplished hero in everything that he could do. I never bought into him that much, but I mean, because he was a generalist that can convert into so many different things, he was quite versatile. I just don't think he was super good at any of the things. But again, you know, another fan favorite over there. X-23 for PvP Season 5. Really, really good when she got her war uniform, But prior to that, I didn't think she was that hot. I mean, baby's first Wolverine, in my opinion. But her uniform made her a lot better. Phantom X, God, people hated Phantom X. Let's be real there. There was a lot of hate for Phantom X. When the X-Force update happened, he got better because Psylocke could make him invisible, but a tactician that did things that infiltrators can detect super, super easy was always a risk, and he just wasn't that strong. But with some ISOs, he got better, and I did do some videos on how to do Phantom X effectively, but he was very limited. Shatterstar was mild at best. I feel that where he excelled in that if he countered or he hit somebody who was flanked, he AoE'd. Not many characters in the game did that, and Shatterstar was one of the first. And that if he hit somebody who had flanked on him, normally you hit somebody who's flanked with your attack, and then you follow it up with the character's basic attack. Well, Shatterstar's basic attack was an AoE, so if he hit Mojo Skewer on somebody, which is a single target that was flanked, he'd AoE with Blade Maelstrom. That had its advantages. Unless you were dealing with a elite ISO that would drain you, it's really good to be able to splash AoE for free, especially if you can maybe make the blades bleed and everything. Red Hulk was super popular, very, very good in several metas. Iron Fist Red Hulk, believe it or not, was a meta, but Red Hulk was so good with Pesty when he dropped. Even before Pesty existed, Red Hulk was a pretty solid tank, and he was a bit of a scourge in PvP, even without Pesty. And then, once Pesty came around, Red Hulk achieved God status for a little while. And this Savant Sphere, I made some of my more casual friends at the time jealous that I had this spear, because it's actually really good. And this is around when I started to really get a little bit better at PvP. Angel, I mean, what could be said about Angel? This was the botch season. If you were playing the game at this time, you got Angel for free because they screwed up the season so bad. I don't really remember what it was. Angel was a decent healer. He showed up in PvP in a support role for a while, and then completely disappeared because the Agent is a way better support person than Angel, and Rez has also got nerfed. But I don't sleep on X-Force Archangel. This guy is way better than you think, especially with Psylocke. Moving on, we've got Bishop. Bishop was okay. He's a fan favorite. He's a fan favorite for me because of the Days of Future Past timeline, the real one, not the movie one. Although I'm not shitting on the movie, I love the movie too. But again, he kind of didn't really come into his own until he got some ISOs later. But people, much like Cable, made some pretty good teams with Bishop. The Emerald Prison, this thing is absolutely historic. If there's anything that belongs in the first room of the Marvel Avengers Alliance museum, the Emerald Prism definitely is up there. I think maybe this season, I don't think I earned the Emerald Prism. I think I was still a bit of a noob then. Mystic and Spiral, man, this is a combo. Spiral was definitely godly for a long time. Her D-Power on the Flashbolt was so good. And then she later teamed up with Pesty pretty well, although Satana did it better. And the Mystic was an amazing weapon at the time. I mean, it shut down the cube. You could turn off the cube by popping somebody with the Mystic. This was a pretty important season right there. Beyond Corp Can Openers, the infamous thing that I couldn't get. I finished in gold this season, and I really wanted this. And sure enough, this thing with the mechanical stress and everything, right after that is when we were fighting the arcade robots, like RoboCage and everything. Domino was trash. I don't think Domino was very good. She got a little bit better when she got ISOs later, but she just was weak. I always found her kind of weak. Good for debuffs, but weak. Alright, so Agent Venom, or Agvi, as I like to call him. When I knew that Agent Venom was coming that season, I told my girlfriend, and she's like, you gotta get him. Agent Venom is Haas, and Agent Venom was not Haas. If you could control his shift into the Venom form, then I think he would have been Haas, and I don't understand why Playdom never gave us an ISO that we could earn that did that allowed us to control Agent Venom's transformations. I think that would have been amazing, and I think a lot of people would have felt Agent Venom was kind of fixed at that point. But he was weak. I definitely got the Voodoo Staff this season. I may have even gotten the suit, but I didn't earn Agent Venom. I was getting close at that point. Hogan. Hogan is an underrated god. Hogan was amazing in the game if you knew how to work him, and then when we had the Warriors 3 meta, he was handy, but pretty much everybody went Fandral Volstagg, but he was extremely underrated, especially when they helped him out and buffed some of these abilities here and the quick actions and everything. Hogan's a god. I can't wait to play with Hogan again. Rocket Raccoon. I think this was the first season where it legit earned the character. It was either this one or Carnac. The Overloader gun was shit, but Rocket, he was so squishy that I think people slept on him in the beginning, but Rocket Raccoon was amazing once he got going. And, you know, when you had all of those blast the whole team in the first round metas going on, even on defense, Rocket was a nearly unstoppable force of nature. It snuck up on you a little bit, because you're like, haha, you know, fucking little rabbit, as Thor would call him and everything, but he was just good, and I think really this costume was probably his best in history. And there were so many agent weapons that would go off of what Rocket would do. He was a huge, huge initiator of shit, and Rocket was very, very good. Drax, I don't think Drax was that good. I forget Drax was in there between Carnac and Rocket. He enabled the Guardians meta for a little for a little while, but honestly, Gamora with Doom and Groot and Rocket and Star-Lord were all way more annoying than Drax. I don't think Drax was particularly that good. 17 Carnac. So the Rune of Resolve was trash. Carnac never really showed up for anything. He was okay, but he was not meta. Didn't really have much to do in PvP. Cool to have somebody who looked like the leader, but Carnac wasn't amazing. Kid Nova. I think Kid Nova was weak in this season when you got the T-Bow glove and that Bruiser safeguard suit. I don't think Nova was really anything special. However, his interesting combination of melee and energy-based attacks mean that you could do some interesting things with the agent to augment him. He had a few tricks that could be worked. So the Steps of Shu Lao with Nova and a couple other things were good, but Nova wasn't that great. Angela was pretty solid. I'm glad she made it into the game. There was a short-lived Guardians of the Galaxy mobile game that had Angela in it, and I thought of her as pretty cool in that game. She was okay in Marvel Avengers Alliance. Not tops. Not tops at all, but fun. Okay. I personally hate the shit out of Victor Mancha. He was so annoying to deal with in PvP when he kept resing and resing. He was so bugged for a while. And then he was part of that break the game meta with Beta Ray Bill and a particular hammer on the agent and everything. But yeah, Victor made an impact. I didn't like him much, but he certainly made an impact. Deathlok, Deathlok never really did a hell of a lot, in my opinion. The suppression grenade, I believe he had a pretty good ISO there that made that handy. But honestly, it was all about that Infiltrator's flight suit in this season. And Little Boomer was kind of trash, and Deathlok was eh. Here we go. The fucking Roscoe and the Combatant ISO. This was an amazing season. Spider-Man Noir was an exceptionally powerful character, and again, one of those ones who enabled metas, and the Roscoe was a good passive weapon too. This 22 played on got it right on that one, I think. Here's the Elite Empowered ISO, but Spider-Girl, or Ayana? Ayana Cornos? Anya Corazon. A kind of a nowhere character. Of all the spiders in the game, I don't think she was really up there on the strong list whatsoever. A-Bomb. So, oh boy, look at Season 24. The Lunacy, the Rampant ISO, and A-Bomb. A-Bomb was one of those rare, beefy infiltrators. There were some things you could do with him to make him actually really solid. He just never carved out a really good niche. But A-Bomb, I think, was a little underrated. I think you could do some fun things with him. And that Lunacy was a godly piece of gear. Misty Knight, fairly trash. Roaring Rampage, fairly trash. Energizing ISO, this was the winner of this season. Misty Knight, meh. Just, meh. I mean, on her page alone, Spitfire was better. Howard the Duck in certain team-ups was better. Elsa's way better. Yeah. Misty Knight was eh. Season 26, Colleen Wing. Ironically enough, Colleen Wing, for a lot of people, saved the Iron Fist Netflix show. I found that Colleen Wing to be quite beautiful, very attractive, easy on the eyes, and I clearly felt like she knew what she was doing in that show. I do agree that she went a long way in helping that show be more palatable, but in Marvel Avengers Alliance, she was okay. She showed up in some PvP. I think she had a decent team up with Red She-Hulk a little bit, but nothing super to write home about on that one. But that Dark Energy Blade, that was one of the stars of this season. 27, the Grim Hunter, Kraven the Hunter, and Infused Tech Suit. Kraven carved out a minor path in PvP, and he started the Sinister Six trend in the game. I think he was a little underrated. I did a team with him and Morbius called Kraven Blood. The video's on YouTube. He's better than you think when you start thinking outside of the box and realizing what ISOs you could slot for his abilities. He's not bad. He was very easy to sleep on. He wasn't overwhelmingly good, but he could be made pretty good. Hellcat, nowhere. Hellcat was nowhere. She didn't do shit. Black Cat was way better than her, especially during the Night America bugged phase where Black Cat would be a goddess. Hellcat, meh. Nothing about this season was that good. The suit was the winner of this one. Femme Fatales wasn't that great. Hellcat wasn't that great. Here we go. Oh boy. As the announcers say at the beginning of the UFC matches, here we go. Holy shit, this season. The Spirit Blade, the Blaster Tech Suit, and Cloak and Dagger. Do we even really need to talk about these two? Do we need to talk about them? I'm going to say them and not her because it's both of them. These two were gods among men. They absolutely were. They're a good show. It's a shame that it got canceled. They were a pretty decent card in Marvel Battle Lines, and they turned this game upside down. People complained probably more about Cloak and Dagger than the Worthy. But she was so stoppable. Caught myself there. They were an infiltrator. All it took was a good Spitfire, and Cloak and Dagger was out of the picture. All it took was Spitfire with the ISO that lets you hit magic and phased people, and then a starting phased Cloak and Dagger was no threat. To the people this day who think Cloak and Dagger should be nerfed and they were so tough, I say to you now, knock that all off. Cloak and Dagger was very, very beatable. You just had to be prepared for it. Up next was Beetle. Beetle was fun to go through for the Spec Ops and PvP around that time. And okay. Uh, eh, okay. The Screaming Cannon, I think this one had some pretty good synergy with Songbird. This suit was really, really good. Beetle was eh. And then final season, Songbird, the Wub Wob device, and the Infiltrated Vortex suit. So, I really liked Songbird in Marvel Future Fight at the time, which colored me into thinking that Songbird was reasonable in Marvel Avengers Alliance. She could get there if you did certain ISOs and had the agent help her out a bit. This thing is based off of Lucio in Overwatch. It is confirmed by the Playdom devs. They did say that. It gets you a little misty-eyed to think this was the last PvP, and I will do another video that does the Spec Ops heroes. We'll separate that out into two pieces of content, but Songbird was okay. Just not trash, not great. So that's my opinion on the PvP heroes that we earned throughout the time. I think Cloak and Dagger... Look, fight me on this one. I certainly welcome you to do so down in the comment section below. Let's have a good fight on this one. I'm going to say that Cloak and Dagger is probably the most impactful PvP hero we could ever earn. Period. Now, not Spec Ops, but just PvP hero. It's going to be Cloak and Dagger more than anybody. I mean, some people didn't come into their own until they got an EISO or an AISO or a random meta popped up where the agent had some gear that helped them out a little bit. But Cloak and Dagger, number one most impactful PvP hero ever. SpiderMan Noir, very, very up there at the top. Not first place, not even really fighting for first place, but could very well take in a very solid second, if not third. Victor, look, I gotta put my personal opinion aside on Victor. Victor was a heavy, heavy defensive favorite. He belongs up there in the top 10, if maybe not the top 5. But you have to take away his bugged phase. You can't evaluate him based on when he was bugged and then fixed by Playdom. Only go by the fixed version. I don't like him that much. I would never use him for offense, but he was people could build some really good teams around Victor for defense, so he gets high marks for sure. Carnac, no, he doesn't go. Drax, maybe the Guardian movie uniform made him a little bit better. I don't remember Drax that well. I remember Groot more. I remember Star-Lord more. I remember Gamora more because of Doom. And Rocket more. I just don't really remember Drax that much. Rocket Raccoon, definitely top 5. Absolutely. Hogan, I can't rate him super high just because I made good use out of him and the community really didn't. But I would still say he's top 10. Venom, no. Spiral, yeah, top 10 at least for before Flashbolt got nerfed, that's for sure. Domino, no. Angel flutters in and out of being a really good PvP hero and not top 5. Maybe right on the border of top 10, even if I made good use out of him. I can't necessarily rank him super high. Red Hulk, definitely top 10. Shatterstar, not. Her, not until her uniform. Phantom X, no. Belongs nowhere in the top spot. Cable, probably top 10. Psylocke, definitely top 5. Punisher, maybe right on the border, top 10. People probably going to fight me on that one. I'm sure there's a lot of super Punisher fans that'll tell me I'm stupid. Don't know what I'm talking about. And Deadpool was the original, very good on... He was better on defense, but he was also very predictable, but I would say probably top 10 for him. So, what do you guys think? What do you think about my number 1 pick in Cloak and Dagger? What do you think about my top 5, top 10? When in these 31 PvPs did you start getting good? Like, if you achieved an adamantium that you earned and weren't bumped up to, where did you get it? I got it right around either... See, I don't remember how I did for Drax. Rocket, I was close. I think maybe I was Vibranium, but the bugs they had, where they gave everybody one rank higher, gave me Rocket Raccoon, and I think Carnac was my first earned one. But think about that, man. Holding down Adamantium from 17 to 31. Ooh, that is a lot. That's a lot of shit. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't really say when this one started. It probably would if I went and drilled down into it, but yeah. Surviving members earn... Oh, that's an interesting thing. Starting with PvP Preseason 17, bonus matches reward surviving members with 300 XP instead of 100. Non-surviving receive 75 instead of 25. Oh, cool. A little bit of trivia there. Alright, guys. So, I'm out. Hope everybody is staying safe and dealing with the itis. And also dealing with the protests that the nation is facing. Just be safe. That's all that I can recommend you do. Be an ally to the right people. And if you are one of those right people, just absolutely be safe. That's all that I can wish for you guys out there. Peace out. Have a good one.